Welcome to the podcast from your RiskFootprint resilience team. We're your pathway to smarter hazard and climate preparedness, offering clear insights, actionable solutions, and expert support to help you safeguard your properties and build true resilience.
So let's talk about protecting your building. When you think about all the risks out there, everything from a hurricane to just the daily grind of wear and tear, do you picture it as a one-time fix? Well, today, we're going to dig into a huge shift in thinking that could literally safeguard your property's future.
And really, it all boils down to this one idea. It's such a simple phrase, but trust me, it completely flips the script on how we should be thinking about building maintenance and safety. It's not about crossing some finish line, it's about the journey you're on, year after year.
Okay, that sounds great in theory, right? A process, not a destination. But what does that actually mean when the rubber hits the road? In the boiler room, up on the roof, or in your emergency plans? That is exactly what we are about to break down.
Look, first things first, we've got to bust a major myth here. So many people fall into this trap of thinking that one big project, maybe a brand new roof or a fancy HVAC upgrade, is enough. They treat resilience like a destination they finally arrived at. And honestly, that's a pretty dangerous way to think.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? That old destination mindset is all about being reactive. You basically wait for something to break, then you fix it. But the process mindset, that's where the magic is. It's proactive. It's this ongoing annual cycle that actually expects things to change and works to stay ahead of risks. It's all about continuous improvement, not just a one-and-done project.
So here's the bottom line. Real, lasting resilience only happens when you weave these activities into your day-to-day, year-round operations. It's got to become part of the building's natural rhythm, this constant, repeating cycle of checking in and making things better.
And why is this so unbelievably critical? Well, because risks don't just sit still. Your equipment gets older, parts wear out, and the climate data is always evolving. That flood barrier that was top of the line 5 years ago, it might not be enough for what's coming next. Active, ongoing maintenance is literally the only way to keep up.
Okay, let's really dive into the good stuff. This is the how-to, the practical game plan for putting that whole process mindset into action. We're talking about a structured cycle that you can repeat every single year to make sure nothing, and I mean nothing, falls through the cracks.
Okay, so here they are, the big 7. These are the core steps of the cycle. You can see how it just flows so logically, right? You start with the physical building, then you get your people and plans ready, and you finish by making sure everyone is on the same page. So we inspect, we repair, we test, update our plans, verify our data, line up our vendors, and then communicate it all. Let's zoom in on a few of these.
All right, step 2, repair and retrofit. This is all about the physical stuff, the bones of your building. But this isn't just about fixing what's already broken. It's about being smart, getting ahead of the problem, and making those high-impact fixes before things go wrong. A Property Resilience Assessment, or PRA, is your best friend here. It's basically a deep dive into your building's weak spots, helping you focus on what really matters most, from servicing your critical systems to shoring up the exterior.
I mean, think about it. It's awesome to have a backup generator, but does your team actually know how to fire it up in the middle of a crisis? That's what makes this step so important. It's about physically testing your defenses, like your flood barriers, and, just as crucial, running hands-on drills so that when an emergency hits, your team's response is pure muscle memory, not them frantically digging for an instruction manual.
All those emergency binders and digital files, they're basically useless if they're out of date. That's step 4, constantly revising your emergency operations plans and those all-important contact lists. And that same logic applies perfectly to step 5, which is verifying your digital assets. This means doing things like auditing the QR codes on your critical equipment so that when first responders show up, they have the right info, right at their fingertips.
And this is where we get to the human side of things. Because a building isn't just concrete and steel, right? It's an entire ecosystem of people. You have to reconfirm those contracts with your emergency vendors every year. You've got to get updated plans into the hands of your tenants. You've got to host trainings. When everybody, your staff, your tenants, your partners, is aligned and knows the plan, your whole response just becomes so much more powerful.
So, we've walked through all these steps. What's the big payoff? What's the why behind all this work? Because it's not just about getting through the next big storm. It's about something way more fundamental, something every single building owner cares about. And here's the key takeaway.
This annual cycle isn't an expense, it's a direct investment in your property's value. When you proactively manage risk like this, you're not just doing maintenance, you are actively preserving and even growing the value of your asset.
Now, I get it, this whole cycle can look like a huge mountain to climb, but you don't have to do everything all at once. The most important thing, truly, is just to start somewhere. So take a look at these 7 steps again. Which one are you and your team going to tackle first to start building that more resilient future?
Thank you for joining us on this podcast. To learn more, visit riskfootprint.com.